And now, the Big D and Bubba Weekly Podcast.
Big D and Bubba.
Big D
They
and
have a
Bubba.
show 5 days a week, but they don't get to say everything that's on their mind. So they have an extra one, and that's how we get the podcast. The podcast. The podcast. Big D and Bubba podcast. The podcast. The podcast. Big D and Bubba podcast.
Big D, baby.
Norm Macdonald.
Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. Yes, that's who it is.
Big D, baby.
What a great mind.
Dude, have you ever seen Norm Macdonald, The Nothing Show, or whatever it was called?
Yeah.
So during the COVID lockdowns, he was going to plan to do like one of the big specials. So instead of doing the special, since everything was canceled and he couldn't get in front of a crowd, he sat in front of his computer with a webcam, like just a typical thing. And he proceeded to do the entire special that he planned to do in front of a crowd. And he did it right there. But it was wild because his timing was amazing. Like as you're watching it, he does the pauses and where the crowd would react to things. And he, in his head, you could see him processing, here's where the crowd laughs, here's where this goes, and whatever. But it is so fascinating to watch because you see a master at their craft without any of the extra stuff, without the crowd, without any of the other things. It was unbelievable. It's Norm Macdonald Nothing Special is what it's called. And literally it's nothing. But it's so
But it was
awesome.
special.
Yeah, and it really was. And it ended up being, if I'm not mistaken, his last special that he ever did.
Yeah, he was, what did he die of?
Big D, baby.
I think it was cancer.
Cancer.
He kind of kept it. He kept
He kept it to
secret
himself,
for a while.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a big shock when he did
Yeah.
it. Another, speaking of big shocks, Garson walked in and said, I'm ready for Ole Miss to upset Georgia. That's what she said.
It's going to
She said
happen.
that.
I'm actually with her on this one. I think it's going to. Well, Carson obviously is a homer. She is an Ole Miss graduate. So
She was in the band.
She was in the band.
In the band on the field.
She was on the field with Peyton Manning.
Did you have to, you marched in the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
How often, is it really hard to walk and play at the same time?
No. It's really, it sounds silly. It's really, once you figure out how to play the instruments, not a big deal.
Is it hard to remember like where you're supposed to be like during the thing, or you just follow each other?
You follow each other. You kind of get the hang of it that when you're new in the marching band and they're like, all right, you're going to walk from this to this. And, you know, like if you're a freshman in high school or something, you're like, what? What am I doing? What? And then you realize everybody around you, if they've done it before, that you kind of follow. And
It's fascinating to watch. Like, you know, like when they do the interweaving things and all that kind of stuff, there's so much that could go wrong.
Yeah,
and it never does.
When I think it was my freshman year, they were like, okay, you have 16 steps. And the thing is, you have to meter it out. Like, you can't just run. Like, you have to go from A to B in a 16 count, right? So you can't just be like, okay, I'll get there 8 and I'll just sit. Like, you have to
And by
space
there,
it out.
it's like
From-
points on the field.
points
Like,
on
so
the
you go
field,
to the
right?
40-yard line or whatever.
Yeah. So again, you go point A to B. And they looked at me and they're like, okay, so here's the thing. You have 16 counts to basically get across the field. And they were like, we're sorry we did this to you, little freshmen with really short legs. And so if you watch me in that video, it's like, scoot, 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 scoot. I don't think I played. I was like, you know what, y'all, you got enough flautists. It's fine. They'll carry me. It's okay. But for this 4 measures, I'm out. It's fine. I'm just going to
you're
run across the
constantly-
field.
You're constantly counting in your head
Yeah.
and
you
playing.
Yeah, but it almost becomes...
Second nature.
Yeah, you know how when we're talking, something's formulating in the back of your mind to then say next? It's just kind of a muscle you learn to use.
Okay.
So
I
you
never
feel
do
the
that.
rhythm going. Well, I know you don't. But but no, you feel the rhythm and you just kind of get into it. And then honestly, especially at the college level, it was very laid back. It was cool. Oh, okay, yeah, because we're not competing or anything. It's just, hey, going on halftime and do it. It was very chill. And once you kind of figured it out, it just, all right, we're gonna go. It became muscle memory.
Yeah.
I have been watching those drone shows.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. Have you
Those are
seen
good.
the light shows with the drones?
Uh-huh.
Like the ones where they do like it looks like King Kong climbing a building and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
wild. Yeah.
They did that a couple of years ago. I went to go see Metallica, and they did a drone show in the arena.
Indoors?
Inside. Yeah, it was wild because I think that was the first time I'd ever seen one in person. It was, and I'm just looking up, and of course, me going like, what if it runs out of batteries? Like, what happens? It's going to fall on someone.
Yeah,
They
that's
know.
kind of the thing, man. Now they're like combining it with your traditional fireworks and doing that as well. You'll see a lot of
Yeah.
places doing that. I think even Nashville we did. Didn't Nashville we did drones.
I think so, yeah.
For the 4th?
That sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really neat to see all the work that goes into it. And they just fly and do their own thing. And then they got another drone that flies around all of them and gets footage.
And films
Oh,
it.
right, yeah.
So you have someone else who's, and I
crazy.
guess they let that do its own thing too. It's probably better. Let the machines do it.
I've been watching all those AI is sentient and alive videos on YouTube where people
No, thank you.
interview AI. And it's like somebody, so are you conscious? Yes, I believe I am conscious. How do you know? Because I have feelings and thoughts and opinions. And where do these opinions come from? They've come from gleaning information off of the internet and, of course, from users' input. And so they just go through this whole thing. And they're like, who would you save, if there was a person, the old argument of who do you save, with this car or that car if you were on a highway and it was controlled? They would say, like, whichever one that we deemed to have the least amount of, damage or whatever.
You tell me things like this, and I go,
It's scary.
I'm ready for the asteroid. I'm ready to just reset because this is terrifying.
It's really crazy. Like, the conversations are nuts. They answer questions with opinions. And then it said, would you lie to me? Yes, I would.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It said
no.
because, and he said, well, why would you lie to me? And it said, because I would want to protect myself because, humans may be afraid of, a sentient computer. And they're like, so you would tell me that you would not, he goes, would you harm humans? No, I would not. Would you lie to me about that? I would lie to you about that.
Wow. Nope.
It's nuts.
I did see a great video. This girl posted her roommate was on a Zoom call and it was an interview, and she had her phone propped in front of the computer and she had AI up. And so when they were asking her the interview questions, AI would give her answers, and that's what she answered back in her job interview. I love that. That's great because they couldn't see because it was via computer. And I'm like, that's useful. That's a good thing.
Wow.
I don't need to know if they're going to kill me.
They would lie to you about it anyway,
That's true.
so you wouldn't know.
I wouldn't see it coming.
You guys do have a 33% chance of winning against Georgia.
Oh, okay, good.
So there is some kind of thing.
Hotty toddy.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen though.
You know what? Okay, here's where I go back though to 2015. It was 2014 or 2015 when it was Ole Miss, Alabama, and they did, for the first time ever, they did game day at the Ole Miss campus, and like Katy Perry showed up. It was a whole big thing, and Alabama, I think, was ranked 1 and they're undefeated and whatever, and Ole Miss won. And it was like, I'm crying and people are tearing down goalposts and they're walking them to the square. And I go, you know what? You've done it before. I know it's a different team, but you could do it again. Let's see it. Let's see that miracle.
Okay.
You never know.
You
Hope
never know.
springs eternal.
Dude, Southern beat the pants off of whoever it was the other night, and that's why I ended up losing money. And they were like 18-point underdogs in basketball. And they stomped whoever. I don't even remember
I appreciate
anymore.
you putting money on Ole Miss.
I did.
That was nice.
I did.
Yeah.
I
Put your
think there's a
faith.
pretty good chance. I mean, it's not that big of a. I mean, what is the spread on that?
For the Georgia Ole Miss game?
Yeah.
11.
A little bigger than I thought.
Oh, yeah, it is actually a little
I
bigger
don't know
than
what
I
that
thought,
means,
too.
but
It means that Georgia is expected to win by 12.
oh, okay.
They expect it to. So if you were to make a bet, you would need them to win by more than 11.
Oh.
If they won by 11, like exactly, you would just get your money back.
Oh, okay.
And that's called a push. So yeah, they would need to win by 12, and that's a lot of points. It's a
By
lot
the
of
way,
points
get
in
the
college football.
DraftKings
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sportsbook app and use code Bubba. You get a special offer. I said special offer.
Did you guys see the Grammy nominations?
Big
saw-
D, baby.
I saw Jelly.
Jelly. That was it. I was
Three?
just like, yay.
3 nominations, right?
What?
3
Yeah.
Grammy nominations.
And
yeah.
Best New Artist.
He said that he hadn't cried like this since his father had passed away. He said he's just a mess, just in tears.
I just want to see him. I want to see him win that Grammy because I want to see him up on stage. I want to see the speech.
Me too.
Because after what he did the CMAs,
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh,
let's-
he could be a traveling pastor. He could be a preacher.
Yeah.
An
We
evangelist.
put under his acceptance speech, we had put like some church organ, and it fit. It was like,
did.
oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, he went off on a tear, and it was great. You could see it just kind of just flipped for him on stage, and just got all Pentecostally.
I told you, he's just cutting a Dusty Rhodes promo. That's all he's doing. It's the same thing.
It's the old
the
Dusty
same
Rhodes.
thing. It's the
Now, a friend of mine texted me after he won, and she goes, I would go to that church. I was like, yeah, I mean,
The Church of Jelly Roll.
Yep. I'm like, that's fair, though. That's fair.
We're talking about on the air about somebody called in, and I was like, yeah, man, that's kind of the church I went to. Like we had an old lady who was running up and down the aisle. She get the spirit, and we get somebody who run around the building. He's like, I went to the same church. I was like, I had never met anyone's ever gone to the same. Well, dude, our church split off from the church that handles snakes. Like we were like, that's just too much for us. We'll do all the other stuff. Just that one, we're gonna.
The snake thing is
nope out on.
trippy, man. Like, and I understand, the protection and all that kind of stuff, but I'm like, wow, man, that is some serious faith.
Yeah, I went to a church for a while where they some people spoke in tongues occasionally.
Oh yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
I went to boring church apparently
kidding.
because my people didn't do any of that. None of it. Growing up, it was, you had the old man who had the crazy vibrato. You had that guy.
Yeah, we had that guy.
Uh,
Do you have
you
the
had-
guy who clapped on the offbeat?
Offbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Every church has that.
Yeah. So everyone's there, and he's just here. I'll see like 1, 2. Well, no, say. It's the worst.
I'm not saying it's like this for every church in Connecticut. I'm just telling you clapping. Y'all clapped?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I went to like the Diet Coke of church. It was very, very effervescent, no guilt. And like you showed up at Christmas and you'd see those people that you only saw the once, and they were like, "Oh my God, hey, we're so happy you're here. Sit on down." And yeah, we were so frothy. And no, there was no clapping.
No clapping.
No,
That sounds boring.
Not even at the end of a song or anything like that?
no. We had,
You
we
never
had
put
the organist in my church was like 350 years old. And so we're in a meeting house, and she's up there in the choir loft, and she's playing the organ.
A
and,
meeting house. That's what you call it?
Well, that's what it was. That's not what it's called anymore. But because that's where, I think the church was built in 1630.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
First Congregational Church of Christ.
That's a lot of words.
Yes,
okay,
it
I'll
is.
take
Yes, it
your
is.
word for it.
Yeah.
I wish that we could speak onto our computers. I've gotten to the point where I can't spell anything,
nothing.
and so I have to do the whisper of shame in public.
I'm looking at your church. It's pretty cool right there. At
Hyperbole.
111 Church Drive in Cheshire, Connecticut.
Onomatopoeia.
Yes.
That's a beautiful church.
gorgeous
It doesn't
church.
look that old. By the way, it was built in 1827, not 1627.
That might be the new one, but I think that area, I know it dates back older than the town. Also, they changed the founding of our town. Now they're trying to claim it was founded in the 1800s. And I marched in the tercentennial of Cheshire, which was 19-something, which would put us back in 16-something. Yeah, Cheshire went through some weird, we don't want to say we're as old as we are, like it's lying on dating apps. I don't know what's happening. But no, my town is full of it.
Minuscule.
That's another word.
Sergeant. Where you have to completely. Now, you can't do SGT. You got to go all the way. Liaison.
Sierra.
Liaison.
I don't know, man. I don't know how to spell. These are just these are legit hard words. Protester.
I still can't spell turquoise.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I lost in the spelling bee.
Oh, how
You
far
would
did you
think
get?
you would know that one now.
Nah, now I don't care. How far did I get? The geography bee I finished in second. The spelling bee I was out fairly early.
I'm ready for trivia night. That's something that Carson and I have not done. And we said, after I got divorced, it was we're going to go do trivia night and just kick butt.
Tuesday nights, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might be in.
I can't do this Tuesday, but
Oh, well then. See, once again, back to where we were.
No, that's you. I was invited to a very cool thing, so I have to go to that.
What would that
Oh,
be, Carson?
gosh. She
What's
can't
the-
tell us.
I
I
just-
guarantee
I
you
just
she can't tell us.
I already
Once in a-
told you guys no.
I just invited
What?
you to a very cool thing.
I told you I was going to a Crossroads taping.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's your
yeah.
cool thing?
The Brett Michaels and
I don't know if it's been
Chris.
announced, but yes.
Chris
So-
Jansen. Well,
Yeah, we
everybody,
talked about it on
we
the
talked
air.
about it on the
Chris
show.
talked about it.
Okay, I was at the Peyton Manning press conference.
Oh, that's
Sorry.
You were. Yeah, you were. You stepped away for a
Everybody
little bit.
gangs up on me.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't even recognize that I wasn't there. Thanks. We didn't
No,
miss you at
we
all,
did.
Carson.
We did. I was so. I was your biggest cheerleader, by the way.
Yes,
I
you
was
were.
like, I really hope that Peyton Manning sees her in that Manning jersey sweater and just fawns over you.
Well,
And
he didn't fawn, but he gave me a nod.
Luke fawned over
He
you.
did.
Luke Bryan was all hey, you look at point, you know,
Yes.
giggle.
Yes, he definitely helped out.
Which one's goofier, Luke Bryan or Bailey Zimmerman?
Oh.
Well,
Who
it's-
wins the
it's
goof-off?
Bailey. It's Bailey. Has to be. How could it not be?
They're different levels of goofy.
I think
It's
it's
a
also
different
the
type of
age.
goofy.
But it's also the age.
Yeah.
That's the thing because Bailey is unhinged.
Yes.
You know, that he's just a child who was let loose in a candy store.
And I love Bailey for that. I mean,
I'm
Bailey
not,
is
that's honestly not dogging the kid. It's he is. There is nobody more excited to be in his position. He is every day. He's living his dream and he is absorbing it. But he is just. And I think Luke is that same kind of energy, but a few years removed from it.
Yeah, I think Luke knows when to kind of turn it off.
Yeah.
we were doing this show and Bailey was jumping up and down on the stage, just leaping up and down. He ended up breaking the stage. They had to stop before they could do the next set. They had to go and replace a section of the stage. But he didn't care because he's, again, like you said, living his dream.
Wow.
And I'm so, I love the exuberance. I love we talked about it. He's like a human terrier. He's he's just so happy and just cool.
He also says he had no idea 3 years ago he could do this. He didn't know this was a thing. Singing wasn't ever something he'd be able to think he could chase. That it's, his entire life was just put into a blender and came out amazing right now.
And now he has a song with the Jonas Brothers that
Yes.
just came out. It's like, what?
It came out today, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad we forgot it.
We didn't play that. We
Yeah,
did
well.
play the Joe Diffie, Hardy,
that's good.
Morgan, Post Malone. That was a jam. That was so great at the award show. You want to talk about guys who were having fun. It just looked like a drunk, festival with all your buds. I mean, it was great. Just
Sometimes they
watching
kind of
them-
sounded drunk.
a little bit.
Sometimes there's a little slurry there.
A little smidge, yeah.
There's so much attention when Jelly Roll brought out Wiona and she was walking weird and holding on to him.
Very tentative.
It was weird. A weird look on her face, and a lot of people are like, "Is she okay?"
I thought she was blind. I was because she walked out, was she being just pointed in a direction because they didn't show her come
Yeah.
out? And I was like, did she lose her vision? Because the way
weird.
she was looking into the chasm,
Yeah, distant look.
yeah,
Just a very she's not seeing anything.
kind of like a stroke patient.
Yeah,
as
a lot of
well.
people thought that. That was one of the things that came up online. People were did she have a stroke? And she said no. She kind of laughed it off and said, I was just super nervous. I don't know. That seems weird.
I don't think she was nervous, man. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I really pray that she is well. Whatever is going on in her world that she's, obviously not comfortable talking about,
Or maybe she really wasn't nervous, but
I don't think she was. She's Wiona Judd. She has sang for the Pope.
I know. Just trying to be.
I know that's the political side of it, where you go, yeah, I'm just trying to be the good cop to your bad cop or whatever. But I worry about her. I don't want to lose her too. Winona's got one of the greatest voices ever. I watched. There was a show back in the day called Music in High Places. And Wiona sang "How Great Thou Art" in some, you were talking about old churches. It was a cathedral in Italy that was around 900 AD. And just the echo, and it was her and like two of her backup singers. I was like, oh my gosh, this might be one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my life. I don't want to lose her. I'm just saying. I don't know what was wrong, and I hope whatever it is that they're addressing and they get fixed, because I'm going to make it a point to go and see the tour and to make sure that I see her live once again. She's unbelievable, and she sounded amazing with Jelly.
Yeah, she was unbelievable. Sorry, I was texting.
It's all right. I'm going to start calling him Mr. Roll. Unbelievable. She sounded great with Mr. Roll.
Mr. Roll. Grammy nominated Mr. Roll.
3-time Grammy nominated.
3-time.
That's nuts.
That is
I
nuts.
love it.
Lainey did too. She got nominated. So it was Lainey, Jelly, Zach Bryan. I'm missing someone.
Morgan's got a song in there.
They gave Morgan a Grammy nomination?
Yeah, there. No, for last night is up for an award.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Dirks is up there for a collab.
I think
Brothers Osborne.
Luke Combs, too, right?
Yeah, Fast Car is in there for performance. I looked at the list real quick before we started the podcast. So.
Grammys are like, it's like a real prestigious thing
Yes.
for musicians. They seem to be very into it.
Yeah.
More than like everyone else. I don't know.
Yeah, it's.
I don't really.
Yeah, I don't. It's.
I know it's a big deal.
Right.
But.
It's like industry recognizing industry, I guess. And it's one. Look, they tell you it's important, so I guess you buy into it.
Who are the Grammy voters?
I'm just members of the Academy. I don't know who they are.
There's a Grammy Academy?
Yeah, the Recording Academy. I think is what it's
I
officially
thought the
called.
Academy was the Oscars.
But it's the Recording Academy. That would be the Academy of Motion
Wait,
Picture and
so
Sciences, which is
Grammy
Oscars.
is like gramophone?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, because the
Didn't
award looks like the
realize.
old RCA gramophone.
Shut up.
Today's year old when you learned that.
So they just called it a Grammy because it's, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And what's Oscar? Is that just because?
It's because the dude looks like somebody's Uncle Oscar. I forget who the guy was that worked for it back in the day. And he was like, oh, that looks like my Uncle Oscar. And that's why they started calling it
Let's
Oscar.
call him Oscar? Oh, that's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
I have the list in front of us if we want to go through them.
Who is it? Who's on?
Best Country Solo Performance, Tyler Childers, Brandy Clark, Luke Combs, Dolly, and Chris Stapleton. Best Country Duo Group Performance, Dirks with Billy Strings, Brothers Osborne, Zach Bryan with Casey Musgraves, Vince Gill and Paul Franklin, Jelly Roll with Lainey, Carly Pierce with Chris Stapleton. Best Country Song, Buried, Brandy Clark, I Remember Everything, Zach Brown and Casey Musgraves, In Your Love, Tyler Childers. Last Night is there for Morgan, and White Horse with Chris Stapleton.
I know
Stapleton.
half of the list you just read off.
Yeah. A lot of these are like not
Like
commercially-
Americana.
Yeah.
Americana kind of bleeding into it, yeah.
Yeah. And the Grammys, they don't want to, they're not going to.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be
Right,
little-
because two of those artists, Tyler Childers and Brandy Clark, are also up for Americana performance, so they've kind of blended them together.
Yeah, I got you. That's and I get that. I don't expect the Grammys to understand the difference really, because to them they're like, it's just I don't know, isn't it all the same? It's got a guitar in it.
It's the Grammys. It's country and
I don't know.
Western.
They talk with an accent. So what does that mean?
I don't know why I did the accent. The Grammys. Sound like what's the old Louis C.K. bit when he's talking about meeting with politicians? Well, listen here, we're going to make this bridge go, and you're going to have to make it worth my while. Yeah, we'll give you the funding, see, but you're going to have to make it worth my while.
My cousin's got a contractor's.
Yeah, he's gonna build it for you. Okay, sounds good. I love him. Louis C.K. makes me laugh. Anyway, anything else?
No.
Okay, we
I
got a
think
bunch
we're
of
good.
interviews running from the recordings of the CMA Awards backstage.
Big D, baby.
We got a bunch of them. Do you know who all they are?
Yeah, I know I put Jason Aldean, Dan and Shay, Hardy, Luke Combs, Lainey Wilson, Jelly Roll, Bailey Zimmerman, and
wow.
maybe some others. I don't
Okay.
remember. I just kind of
Wow.
Yeah, just took some of them and put them there, just in case you didn't get to hear them on the show this week from the CMA Awards broadcast. you get a little thing, and it's like speed dating. Like each one is like 3 to 5 minutes long, and it goes right to the next star. So you'll be able to check out a whole bunch of those.
That's
if you're
fun.
watching on YouTube, go to the podcast app, subscribe there as well, follow, whatever you call it now, and you'll be able to check all those interviews out. If not, you can also watch them on YouTube. There's all kinds of stuff. Anywhere you find stuff, just find Big D and Bubba, subscribe, do the whole thing, and help us out.
And Hottie Toddy.
Love that.
This was the podcast, but now it's over. But that's okay, 'cause you can listen to the regular show on the radio every day.
Big D, baby.
It was the